Spurs hosting the Timberwolves. Game 5 series tied at 2. So many storylines. Victor Wembanyama in the lineup after getting ejected early in Game 4 for elbowing Naz Reid. Anthony Edwards appears to be getting stronger after missing time with a knee injury. We got ourselves an old school playoff series ready to combust. And on the scene in San Antonio is NBA reporter Michael C. Wright, who's covering the Spurs. Michael, what are Wemby's teammates saying about him ahead of tonight's Game 5?
Yeah, Kevin, we talked to Spurs forward Devin Vassell earlier this afternoon at shoot-around, and Devin said that Victor is ready to go. He said that Victor Wembanyama was upset that he could not be there for his teammates in Game 4, and Vassell said that's exactly what we need. We need an upset Victor Wembanyama that's ready to go and attack the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, Vassell said that Victor knows he's got to control his emotions when the Minnesota Timberwolves try all the rough stuff. But at the same time, Vassell said that it's up to the rest of the Spurs, the teammates, to have Vic's back whenever they try to impose that physicality.
Wemby already has 2 games with 35-plus points this postseason. Can't wait to see what happens tonight. Michael C. Wright live from San Antonio from the Spurs' perspective. That's one star. As for the guy on the other side, Ant-Man, he is scoring, and that has gone up every game since his return from a knee injury. Coming into tonight with back-to-back 30-point games. In his playoff career, Ant has 18 30-point playoff games. Only LeBron, Kobe, and KD had more before turning 25. Let's go back to San Antonio as Anthony Slater's covering the Timberwolves here. Ant is coming off another big game with 16 points in that fourth quarter. Anthony, how is Edwards' health now going into this Game 5?
Stunningly well, really. I mean, if you go back a couple weeks, I believe it was 16 days now, his knee bent back. You know, he could barely walk in the first couple days after that, and I think there was a lot of in the franchise that were hoping this was around the time he might be able to return, right, mid to late in the Spurs series. But instead, he was back in Game 1. He helped them win Game 1. In the last 2 games, he's played over 40 minutes. He's leading the team in minutes. I saw him at shoot-around, relaxed. He was doing ice bags afterwards, so he's still monitoring the knees, but he's fresh. He's jumping around, and I think there's been a lot of conversation about Wembanyama's elbow and the ejection and how that turned the series, but Anthony Edwards also turned the series. He scored 14 in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter the other night. They were down 8. He basically dragged them to that win.
And now it's a 3-game series. But there's another guy on this team that the Timberwolves are wondering, when's he going to show up? Julius Randle. He has been struggling so far. What challenges has he faced in this series?
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the West Finals I covered last year, where Julius Randle in the second round really killed the Warriors, and then in the conference finals against all those Thunder athletes and some of their ball pressure, he was really turnover heavy, and I think he was one of the main reasons they lost that series in 5. He's facing a young team with a lot of athletes and a great rim protector, and he's shooting 37% in this series against the Spurs, and he's turned it over 18 times in 4 games, which is pretty uncharacteristic for him. I saw him having a conversation post shoot-around today with Chris Finch. It's clearly a problem they're trying to solve if they're going to win this series, and they just really, I think, need him to slow down a little bit.
Timberwolves are 9.5-point underdogs tonight, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. Anthony Slater live from San Antonio. The team waiting out west is the defending champs, and that is OKC. LeBron James' 23rd season came to a close with a sweep by the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring 35 to wrap up the Lakers in 4. The 41-year-old James, 24 points, game-high 12 rebounds. Afterward, the pending free agent talked about his future.
Nobody has any idea what the future holds, and I don't either. Like I said, I'll take time to recalibrate and look over the season and see what's best for my future. And when I get to that point, everyone will know.
Well, on the scene in L.A., NBA reporter Dave McMenamin joining us now. So Rob Pelinka and J.J. Redick, they also spoke this afternoon. What do they have to say about LeBron's future in L.A.?
Yeah, Kevin, well, first, looking back at the season, they said there was some deal of pride by getting to the second round and playing the defending champs close at some point all 4 games of the sweep, but no satisfaction because this is a team that expects championships year in, year out. Now, as for the relationship with LeBron James, that's lasted 8 years now, the longest stint James has played consecutively with any of the franchise that he's played for in the NBA. Pelinka made it quite clear that the Lakers want LeBron back.
He's given so much to his teammates, to this organization. And the thing we want to do more than anything else is honor him back. And I think the first order of business there is allowing him to spend the time he needs to decide what his next step are. Does he want to play another year in the NBA? Of course, any team, including ours, would love to have LeBron James on their roster. That's a blessing in itself, just with what he does.
Now, Rob Pelinka also said that the Lakers have interest in bringing Austin Reeves back. He's also a free agent. He's the second longest tenured Laker after LeBron James. He said that we'd love for his odyssey to continue with the purple and gold. But the work continues. Rob Pelinka is getting on a plane this afternoon to fly to Chicago for the NBA Combine that's going on right now. The Lakers have the 25th pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And Pelinka said, we'd love to get a player like A.J. Mitchell, who was a second-round draft pick for the Thunder and was a major player in the second-round victory that OKC had over L.A.
Yeah, you could feel that impact for that team because the Thunder's so deep with the roster. When you look at the pressure on the Lakers, how would you describe what's going on in the organization to maximize LeBron James' window here if he decides to stay?
I mean, really, it's about maximizing LeBron and Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves with the type of role players that will allow their skill set to thrive. So you need to have shooters that will space the floor out and give them driving lanes to attack the paint. You need to have big men who can be a threat of verticality around the rims you can throw lobs to. You need defensive players that can turn defensive steals, deflections, long defensive rebounds into offensive opportunities at the other end. JJ Redick said it pretty simply today. We need some more guys who can quite simply pass, dribble, shoot. So there's some fundamentals that they're in search of beyond just making sure they get those stars back in Laker uniforms next year.
I laugh at that because I think there's a lot of teams that are struggling with that idea of pass, dribble, shoot for one specific player. Not, hey, one guy can dribble, one guy can shoot. We need one guy that can do all of it. And keep in mind, LeBron is set to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Dave, thank you so much. Yeah, LeBron James, let's get some perspective here on how long he has been in this league and playing at such a high level. When he debuted in October of 2003, 14% of the current league had not been born. That includes the likes of Victor Wembanyama, Jalen Duren, Cooper Flag. LeBron raised a teammate from birth since then. Yeah, we're talking Bronny. LeBron also played against 12 father-son duos throughout his 23 seasons in the NBA, and he was fantastic this year. For much more, Tony and Mike, PTI's bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon, where should LeBron play next season?
Interesting you asked me that question today, Tony. As I sit here, yes, my hometown, Chicago, has nothing to do with him playing in Chicago. But this is ground zero for all things futuristic about the NBA. All those people that you accused of tanking, they're all assembled here to look at the prospects, the great prospects, starting with A.J. Debance going all the way right down the list. And so LeBron is the talk. One of the high up topics is LeBron and where he's going to play. And so many people are suggesting Cleveland, but also you hear some people suggest the Warriors. He could go and have a wonderfully charismatic old man team. He could be at the center of that with Steph and Draymond and Jimmy Butler and Steve Kerr coaching. Come on now. Yeah. I would love to see that team. I would root for that team. I don't know if they could play enough games to be any good or be standing by the time they got to mid-April, but who wouldn't want to see that? I would.
So at this stage in his career, LeBron is still a great player at 41. He's an all-NBA player at 41. He truly is. He can make a mediocre team good. He can make a good team great. He can make a very good team truly great. I know that people will talk about Cleveland. I know that people will talk about the Knicks as well.
Yeah,
people will talk, maybe they can do something with the Lakers and convince them to stay. I don't know about that. And I find the Warriors thing intriguing in this regard. They're old. They would be really old. They would be the equivalent in basketball of you and I on this show. But here's what people need to, the hardest thing for them will be to actually make the playoffs. Yeah. If they make the playoffs, they don't play back-to-back. So there's a difference there. An older team not having to play back-to-back can win a championship. But can they get there to begin with? Because the NBA schedule is tough. I have no idea where he should play, where he will play, but I am absolutely confident that everybody should want him. Because he's not great for 41. He's still great. He's still great.
He's still great, and he's had games to prove that, including in the playoffs. Tony, I don't care about the Lakers anymore. Fine, they're not going to threaten anybody because they can't go out and get people who make enough money and are good enough to make a difference in the Western Conference. But if he goes to Golden State, you know what that would be like? It would be like a modern day Harlem Globetrotters. But I mean the Globetrotters for real, not the Globetrotter, clown princes of basketball. No, the real Globetrotters. Like, who wouldn't want to watch them, particularly in the spring, if they could get to the playoffs? And then there would be no seat available or empty to pay to watch them if they got together. It'd be
Let me
fabulous.
point out one thing. Before you turn it over to other people, let me point out one thing. Steve Kerr coached him in the Olympics. They know each other.
Yes.
That's going to work. That's going to work.
And they've all been rivals. Jimmy Butler, Draymond, Steph, LeBron, they've all been rivals. They know what each other does. They respect each other, even for the times when they hated each other. This should be like mandated. The league should pull people into a room and say, here's what we're going to do on 3.